What could you truly sacrifice for someone else's dreams? While the Jujutsu world may view Mai and Maki as halves of a whole, each of them had their own dreams and aspirations. Mai wanted to live a quiet, simple life with no grand goals, but Maki wanted it all. She wanted to be the head of the Zenin clan. She wanted to rise above what they had planned for her. Almost like yin and yang, the twins wanted the opposite of what the other wanted, except for one thing, the one piece of each other that they shared. They wanted to be together. But while they shared an unbreakable bond, a magnetic pull, one would never be happy in the other's dreams. It was a cruel trick to tie their fates together. There was one promise that Mai clung onto for her whole life, for her sister to never let go, to never be left behind by her, to simply be by her side. She was tired of the pain, of the effort, of the fear of being a Jujutsu sorcerer, but without Maki, she was alone. Maki was the stronger tide with rougher waves, of which unfortunately Mai had to swim through. She was being dragged along by the current of her sister in an effort to be near her. Maki said she would have hated herself if she stayed in the Zenin clan. She had other aspirations for herself, but for Mai too, which she never seemed to have said out loud to her sister. Instead, Mai had to nurse a shallow hatred of her sister, for which it was really the pain of constantly missing her that drove her to these feelings. What perhaps Maki should have divulged was that she wanted to become stronger, to make room for Mai in the Zenin world, that her letting go was only temporary so that she can bring Mai with her. She was doing all of this because of her desires to keep the two of them together with the future in mind, with the Zenin clan a toppled hurdle. Mai didn't have desires of fitting into the larger Zenin world. However, it seemed outwardly like the two of them were hurtling towards opposite goals, but rather they were both wishing for a world in which they could both exist in happiness, but they were brutally denied because fate would cruelly have it that these sisters are tormented to the very final moments they have together. Now, the twins meet in the same place where it all started, met by their greatest enemy, their family. Even now, they had to suffer under the oppressive hands of their father, the personification of everything wrong with their clan and all of the abuse that they had to suffer through. Ultimately and satisfyingly, he was the catalyst to his own demise, because as he cut them down and forced their hands, Mai solidified her resolve in the future she knew was approaching her, a future she had long ago accepted. As the curses surrounded them in what seemed to be their last moments, a sacrifice was made where the two halves of the whole would once again meet. Mai made the greatest sacrifice I had ever seen. It is the greatest sacrifice not in the sense that she is moving heaven and earth, but rather it is a quiet, selfless acceptance of her sister's passion. And when this acceptance meant her life for her sister's dreams, which she went to the grave perhaps not knowing that Maki ultimately just wanted to make room for her in the world, Mai went quietly, with love and with only one request. In the calm of the oasis where Mai took Maki, she uttered her last words: "Destroy everything. And I mean everything, big sis." With these last words, Mai hands Maki a parting gift. There is a lesser known second definition of this word: someone who is weak, impressionable. We have been able to glance at Mai's perception of herself through her inner monologue, and there is one outstanding phrase in them constantly: Maki has talent I don't have. She constantly views herself as less than Maki, left behind by Maki, not knowing that it was Maki's purpose to have paved a path ahead for her. Mai must have thought that her purpose was to be the sacrificial lamb, to pave the way for Maki's strength. The twins were constantly seeking for ways to be together, and it kept tearing them apart. So when she hands Maki this reed, it is herself that she gives to her twin, her other half. But therein lies another meaning for the reeds. For the gift that she gives Maki, in Japanese culture, they are representative of the vital force in the world of prosperity. Mai sacrifices herself because she believed her sister to be more. But truly, it was only through her sacrifice that Maki could succeed, could prosper. It's incredibly fitting and devastating that these were the gifts that were bestowed to the twins. Bound by heavenly restriction, Maki possessed an incredible strength, and her endless training and grit made her a fierce opponent and ally. She was the wielder of cursed tools. Mai was given the gift of creation, and with this she was able to trade her life to give Maki her ultimate weapon, the completion of her heavenly restriction and a sword with which to channel that now boundless strength. But what did it cost? Everything. That is what Mai sacrificed for the fulfillment of a fraction of her wish. But in the end, Maki will never let go of her sister again, because with the sword that she decimated her clan with, Mai's life force will live on in it and will accompany her forever.